A loss to a 1-6 Lions team.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, my guy?
Well, I would say that I'm shocked and I just can't believe how we could choke, but frankly, I would say that our talent is pretty much on par with the Lions with the product that we're putting on the field. Just, this was kind of it. We're about to go on a stretch of playing the Cowboys, Titans, and Eagles. This was kind of like the one chance we had to kind of get that win and turn the season around. And it just is what it is at this point. Our offense, it is not a good offense. The one thing I will point out today, although, I don't know if it would have made much of a difference because, like I said, our offense looks inept. Injuries galore. I mean,
I
holy
did see
crap.
that. Yeah, I saw that. I was watching the Bears game. We played at the same time, but I was checking Twitter and I saw four key
Dude, I
injuries.
mean, Romeo Dobbs goes out in the first
Mhm.
quarter. Aaron Jones ended up going out. Eric Stokes ended up going out for the game. Rashawn Gary ended up going out for the game. Um, John Runyon left for a little bit, then came back. David Bakhtiari left for a little bit, then came back in the last drive. I mean, dude, it was just all around an ugly game in terms of injuries. Like I said, though, it's kind of hard to hold that up as the excuse as to why we lost because, frankly, it just kind of looked like the same stuff that we've been seeing from this offense. And I do think at this point it's kind of time to start wondering, truly how in trouble the Packers are, and not really so much as a team this year, just kind of as a franchise. It's kind of looking like this team is really dead in the water in a lot of different ways. From a personnel standpoint, a lot of it being injuries, but even so, our depth really isn't all that great. Our play calling this year is shockingly bad. And I know we have a lot of people that left the coaching staff, but I don't know, man. First half, we didn't put up a single point. We had a few key drives that we got it down into the red zone. Rodgers throws, his first interception was basically just ricocheted right off somebody's helmet because he threw it right into somebody's helmet. No excuse,
Mhm.
bad ball. Throws another one when we get down into the red zone. It's just I don't know if you saw this clip of Rodgers. I have never in all of my time, and we've seen like Rogers throwing down the Microsoft tablets and
Mhm.
cussing and
Him on
throwing
the
his hands
field,
around and all this,
literally like going like this
dude.
and being so
Like
angry. That
that is
that was beautiful. Oh
man,
my
like
God.
that to me is just kind of like and I think that was in the first half, but it was just kind of one of those moments that spoke loud and clear as far as where this Packers team is right now and where the headspace is. I don't know, man. It's brutal to watch.
Oh, that was incredible to watch. And I didn't see it live, but I saw it on Twitter and oh man. I don't mean to rub it in, but that
No,
almost made my day.
go ahead. I mean, hey, we're at that point at this point, man. I mean, it's the one thing I got to give credit to, our defense did pretty well. I know Detroit is, not the best team in the league, but they have been doing pretty well at home in terms of putting up points. And our defense did hold up. Second half, we gave the offense plenty of opportunities to try to make a play, try to make a game out of it. Ultimately, we just couldn't really get anything going at all. I mean, from here, man, it's kind of hard to really look on any sort of like bright side, because I mean at
Mhm.
this point it seems like the season's dead in the water. I mean, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. Even if we do, my God, we're going to get absolutely slaughtered by any team that is remotely good. I mean,
And Minnesota ended up winning with a last second field goal over Washington, so they have a 4.5 game lead over you and everybody else
oh yeah.
in the
Well,
division.
and that North was so far and away gone anyways before this. I mean, this was really just let's see if we can't make a wild card push.
Uh,
It,
I'm kind of wondering is that offense, that Detroit offense, is that clicking? And
you
scoring
know,
15 points isn't really clicking, but
they didn't really look all that great on offense. I mean, they had a few drives where they looked like they were kind of clicking a little bit, but
Mhm.
it was nothing really too dangerous. I think they're trying to figure it out now that TJ Hawkinson's left, and that kind of leaves a
Yeah.
big gap in their offense. Amon-Ra had a few key games. Really, if you're a football fan and you were watching this game, offensively, it was not a good show from either team. It just wasn't. Before I forget, that second interception by Rodgers, I failed to mention, was actually to David Bakhtiari. We literally had a play.
It was a
This is
good
how,
it was a good designed play. I'll give him that.
to me, with as inept as our offense has looked this year, it just feels like running a trick play when you have an offense that's grooving. That feels kind of like, ooh, that's magician like. Running a trick play when your offense looks like they can barely move the ball, it just feels like desperation. And
Mhm.
then just to throw a ball that looked so underthrown, it was just a summary, I feel like, of how this game truly went.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
it's just,
even if Hutchinson wasn't there to pick it off, it would have been incomplete. I don't think it would have
yeah.
even made it to Bach.
Rodgers looked off, man. And it doesn't help, frankly, because our team's bad this year. We always struggle in Detroit. I mean, it seems like every single year that we go to Detroit, it is a hard game to win. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I can say in terms of this game. It was ugly offensively. Seems like that's been the pattern all year. Defensively, we held up when we needed to, but at the end of the day, our offense couldn't answer, and we couldn't really get back in the game. And we had a chance to win the game with 2 minutes left. We get this
That was a
Samori Toure
crazy
catches the ball.
that was a
Yeah,
crazy Toure's catch and fumble, and then
yeah,
the
it goes out
scramble
of
for the
bounds. It's
ball on
like,
the
okay, hey, we
sideline.
got the ball inside the 20. Let's see what we can do. First play, pass play, terrible little hero ball style play. Second play kind of looked like defensive pass interference. You could have called it. Frankly, that looked like a ball that wasn't going to be caught either way. It's just like every single play that we ran in that moment felt rushed, felt hurried. It just doesn't seem like an offense that's in sync. And, I mean, I guess you do have to point out the fact that it's like, when you have this many injuries, it's hard to get into a rhythm. But yeah, man, it is a rough year to be a Packer fan. I don't really know where we go from here, in terms of anything, in terms of, there's no really tanking when you're in a position like this. You know what I mean? We're not a team that has an out view to tank. Going down for a season, getting in a good draft pick, that's not going to make a difference for next year. Like, we are in a bad place right now.
Do you think there is a shot that we see Jordan Love start a game at some point this season?
I don't know. I I think there might be a chance that you see maybe Jordan Love maybe take off from a halftime start
Hmm.
type of way if our offense just looks flat, looks like another game that we're going to lose. I mean, I don't see that happening
Well,
with as like. Go ahead.
even if it did happen, is it really going to be that much of an upgrade? I mean, you know Jordan Love more better than I. You've seen all the journalists and inside the locker room kind of guys talk about it. Is Jordan Love really an upgrade at this point in his career?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, at the end of the day, Rodgers is struggling. Our offense looks horrible. I'm not going to disrespect him. I mean, Jordan Love isn't an upgrade from Rodgers. There's really no guarantee that Jordan Love is good or bad at this point because we've seen so little. I don't know. I don't know what that says. Starting Jordan Love, going with Jordan Love and seeing what you got. Like I said, man, we have a key decision to make after this season. Rodgers is signed for 3 more years. It really looks like a 2-year contract with an option for that third year. So I would say it's pretty certain, unless Rodgers just says this season left a bad taste in my mouth, I'm done.
Hmm.
I'd say there's a pretty good chance he does come back next season, just because of the way the contract plays out and how much he's getting paid. Frankly, why wouldn't you come back? And then on the flip side, you got to look at like, okay, well, if we're going to keep Jordan Love, that's going to be a big financial commitment as well. I don't know the real numbers, but I think that fifth-year option or fourth-year option is, I think, like what, $20 million, something like that. And I don't see us
Outrageous.
trying to pay, Jordan Love $20 million to stay on the team next year, especially when he's not really playing, and if we're going to have Rodgers. So it's a weird spot to be in right now, man. And I don't really know. It's hard to predict the trajectory of the team right now. And it's crazy. If you would have told me that at the end of week 9, going into week 10, I'm sitting here wondering if Matt LaFleur is in the hot seat, I would have been like, what the hell happened? I mean, there's no way that a coach that has 3 13 win seasons can be in the hot seat. But man, I mean, no one is safe in this league. Head coach, player, anyone. This is looking real ugly. This is looking like an offense that has absolutely no idea what the hell is going on.
That's
And
an interesting statement because I feel like a week or two ago I brought that up. How I didn't think I thought Matt LaFleur was overhyped at his position. He was an overhyped coach, and he benefited from having, MVP level Aaron Rodgers. You defended him whenever I said that after Aaron Rodgers retires, then he would kind of fall back to an average or a below average at worst head coach.
And in his defense, I think that you can still say, it's hard because right now it's a recency bias thing. Right now we want to
Yeah.
lay into him. He looks terrible. Those 3 seasons were good football. Okay, that first year we went 13-3, a lot of lucky wins, and I'll admit there were a lot of lucky wins that season. It almost feels
Mhm.
like the flip side of this year. I don't think we can discredit his success in those 3 seasons. I just think the NFL is kind of a league like this. That there's not a lot of Tomlinsons, there's not a lot of Belichick's that can really stay here and have longevity for continuous seasons. Keep on getting 500. I think that it's just one of those things where a one bad season can kind of just put you in question. I mean, no matter what your recent success is, and then I mean, you couple the postseason collapses as well. I don't know, man. I don't know where the hell we go from here, dude. It is a bad time to be a Packer fan.
I don't think you'll fire LaFleur after this
I don't
year
think
or
so
even
either.
next year. Matt Nagy, his second year, he dropped off tremendously, but we didn't fire him until year 4. So I think you had LaFleur has a much better pedigree than Nagy. 3 years versus Nagy's 1 year,
Right.
and I'm saying like it's going to take it another 2 or 3 more years of poor, coaching or poor games to move on from LaFleur.
And even with as bad as we look, I'm still not necessarily, on the I want to see LaFleur's head on a spike. Let's get rid of him bandwagon yet. I don't know, man. But I will tell you, it is. I mean, this is some of the ugliest Packer football I have ever seen in my entire life, and I know that's because mainly I've been spoiled my entire life in terms of regular season play. That is. Um, so I know I'm kind of sitting on a grandstand when I say that, but this is some ugly, ugly football, man. I mean, holy crap, this is some turn it off and go wash the dishes because that sounds like more fun type of football.
So here's another food for thought question. Do you think that you guys would be, let's say, 6-3? Let's flip your record. Do you think you guys would be 6-3 or 7-2 if you still had Devontae?
That's that's really hard to say. I would say we'd be a lot better. I mean, I think we definitely still lose to the Bills. Um, that game against the Jets, we just looked all around bad. I don't know because there's so many things that happened from last season to now that changed our offense in terms of Devonte Adams leaving, in terms of a lot of our play callers leaving. It's kind of hard to point the finger. I almost kind of think it's a combination of the two. I have a hard time believing that we would still look this bad because of the chemistry between Devonte and Rodgers. I just think they would have inevitably, went off anyways. But it does feel like there is a coaching problem right now. And even with Devonte, I still feel like there's something missing, and whether that's Hackett leaving, whether that's Getsy leaving, I don't know. I really don't know where to point the finger. I don't know. It's hard to say because it's hard to really tell what the problem is. I think we'd be better, but I'd still think we'd be a pretty beatable team with a lot of holes. So yeah, next week we got Dallas in Lambeau, 325 game. I think it's America's game of the week, or at least they thought it would be before the Packers looked this bad.
Mhm.
At this point, I mean, I think these predictions are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we just lost to the Lions, for God's sake. I think the Cowboys are going to win, pretty easily. I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge, especially the way that they looked against the Bears last week.
Mhm.
Able to score at will. I think it's going to be a gross game. I think the Packers are going to continue to skid. I mean, at this point, dude, I really think we're looking at top 5 draft pick potentially. I mean, that's kind of where our season's going. And I mean, I don't think that's really much of a hot take at this
I was
point.
I
Like,
was almost gonna argue that because just seeing an Aaron Rodgers led team have a top 5 draft pick when like with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, not with him on the sideline in a cast or a boot or anything. But yeah, that you guys face a tough stretch. You said you played Dallas and Philly and Buffalo still, or no, you already played Buffalo. You played Dallas, Philly, and
the Titans.
the Titans.
So we play Dallas next week, and then we have a quick turnaround and play the Titans on Thursday.
So yeah, you guys could very well be sitting at like a 3-10 record.
Oh yeah. No, like, dude, it's getting to that point. Like, that's not a hot take anymore. Like, I mean, dude, you want to hear how defeated I truly am. At this point, I think the Bears are probably going to beat us pretty well. I mean, I could legit see the Bears beating us by at least 10 points with the way that we are playing right now. Like, dude, our offense, it's not like I'm watching some offense that's like, oh man, we have at least one thing going for us. And like, dude, we look all around terrible. Like, we look really, really bad. Like, we don't look like a team that's struggling. We just straight up look like one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, and at this point, going into week 10 after we just lost the Lions, I can pretty confidently say that as not a hot take. Like, we are one of the worst teams in the league. The finger pointing can go whichever way you want to point it. I don't know, man. It's a tough year.
Hmm. And I know I have to give my take on who's going to win, but I mean, if the Packers fans are saying that Dallas is going to win, what do you think the Bears fans are going to say? Yeah, Dallas is going to win.
Well, if you enjoyed this weekly, I guess you could call it like a therapy session, almost.
That's almost what it's turning into. Yeah.
If you enjoyed this content, you want to tune in next week to see me be mad that we just lost to the Cowboys, feel free to like and subscribe, and go Pack Go.
Go Cowboys.